Hi there and good morning. This is a morning chat. I usually do the live sessions in the afternoon or the evenings, but it's a great opportunity to be able to meet Steve this morning and talk about retail and sustainability. Steve, of course, will be taking the time to explain to us everything about retail and sustainability. And you are always welcome to join in with your questions or your comments. I would like to highlight that all Live with Ghalia chats will be directly available on IGTV and later on YouTube. So for those who will not be able to join us for the entire session, you will have the chance to still watch this chat whenever you want to. So I will invite in Steve and start the conversation the time you all get to connect with us. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How about yourself?
Looking forward to this. This is a first for me, Halia. So I've done lots of other communication mediums. I've never done an Instagram live. So thanks
I'm really
for thanks
happy.
for
I'm happy. I'm like debuting
yeah.
a lot of consultants and professionals on Instagram. I'm happy.
You watch. I'll love the format now, and I'll start to do loads, and people will be like, "Oh wow, Halia was the first one who started Steve's Instagram live career off."
Thank you, Steve, and thank you for having the courage, first of all, to join in on Instagram. It's a great tool, actually. It's a simple tool, and it allowed me to get in touch with a lot of people from everywhere around the world. So it's a great opportunity to just.
Well, let's see how it goes, and then you can follow my Instagram live career closely.
Okay. Steve, I don't want to be doing lots of introductions because I want to leave the floor to you. But before doing that, I wanted to ask you, how was this week looking on the high street in the UK? How was the reopening of all of the beautiful stores, and how are people feeling? Are they like behaving positively towards it, or are we still hesitant to go to the high street and do our shopping?
That's a really good question. I think consumers have been. I mean, obviously, I understand that we'll have lots of different people on here from different countries. So, for me, if I just focus on the UK, because obviously around the world there's lots of different openings and there's closures. But in the UK, I think we had three and a half months where retail was closed. Obviously, most people went online. Some of the big retailers like John Lewis here in the UK saw big spikes, 70% of sort of like, shift to online. But I think there was this big thing, humans still like to go out and shop. They still like to touch. They still like to feel. They still like to try things on. And they still like to have that social interaction. So there was a pent up sort of like need for it. And also as well is, it depends what retailer you were going to see as well. So just say, for instance, I'm just going to pick a demographic here. So if you're an under 24-year-old female who has, been looking to buy, new clothes over that lockdown period, you couldn't buy anything at Primark.
Right.
Because Primark has no online presence.
Yeah.
So I went out this week to Foss Park, which is a big retail park up in Leicestershire in the UK. The queue outside Primark must have been 400 people long. The queue outside H&M was really long as well. So you could feel it was a really big moment that people wanted to get out, get spending again, get interacting again. But one thing I will say is people were very safe. There was plenty of social distancing. Everyone had their masks on. The retail stores were very well prepared with, marshals marshals on the doors and hand sanitizers. And I think we've been retrained. So I think there was a lot of anticipation. I think a lot of people rushed out. I think a lot of people spent a lot of money. which is great for retail because retailers have had an absolutely awful time over it in the last sort of like 12, 18 months. So good for the retailers.
Yeah. And what I was wondering like this morning is the fact that most retailers during the past year managed to sell online. What does it mean today to go shopping physically? Is it going to entice us retailers to rethink our shopping experiences?
That's a great question, and one which I get asked, and I know that brands are obviously tackling with in this pandemic. Well, look, so many people have predicted that physical retail is dead. We've had predictions for years that retail is dead. Retail isn't dead. Retail is just evolving into a new way of connecting with consumers. And from what I can see, online is going to continue to grow. It's as simple as that. It's a way where people can connect with a brand or a retailer and order what they want when they want it. It's just an extension of a store. People use words like omni-channel, and all these different words. If you're a consumer on the high street, you have no idea what omni-channel means.
Yeah.
All you know is I'm going to go into a physical store or I'm going to order it online. You have no idea what these terms mean. And I think that's what people have got to get, that brands and retailers have now got to get right, is that seamless approach that, that if I'm a consumer now, I personally think consumers see, and it depends what sector you are in here, Halia, because obviously it depends whether you're food, whether you're beauty, whether different sectors. But I think if we just take grocery away from this at the moment and just look at brands, I think stores are just becoming validation points.
Yeah.
So if I want to go and buy a new shirt from All Saints, I've got this one. I know it fits me. I like it. I might want to go into store and just check maybe a different material, different color, etc. But I probably wouldn't buy it there and then because I might be going out for a meal at lunchtime. Me and my wife, we might be going to see some friends, and I don't want to be carrying my bags around. So I go and validate it. That's the one I'm looking for. And I'll probably just go and order it online. So, but if you can't do that, if you were, let's say the stores were closed and you're Primark, you just get this huge pent up, need to go out and grab as many clothes as you want and throw them in your basket, But So for me, I just think stores are evolving and stores need to become. I'm only going to use this word once, and please call me out here if any of you see me use this again. Is stores do need to become a little bit more experiential. But what I mean by that is just to make it a pleasant experience to go and to shop and engage me and inspire me to do things and to buy things and to touch things and to look at things, rather than it just being boring. Retail is dead.
Yeah, of course.
Exciting retail is the future for people.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that, as you said, we cannot just use the term experiential as a generic term. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's looking at small little details that make a customer experience within that brand context more pleasant and more pleasurable.
You're right. So this week, Next, one of the big fashion retailers here in the UK, opened their third largest store in the UK. So I wanted to go and see it. Different format. They had a Waterstones bookshop in it. They had a Virgin Travel Centre in it. And as I was walking around, it just felt a little bit different. They had obviously thought about this whole new store and the way it was going to interact in this. There was beautiful Instagrammable moments in there with beds.
Along the journey.
Yeah, along the journey. And then I went into the scent area where they had all of the candles and the diffusers. And they had this beautiful stand with all of these diffusers where you could pick up a diffuser and drop it onto the display, onto this hotspot, and all the screens behind changed to the exact one I put on this hotspot.
On the pod. Yeah.
It told you all about it. It brought it to life, told you all about the scent notes, where to put it in your house, obviously the price and etc. And it was just engaging, and it made me pick things up and want to put things down.
Yeah.
That's the difference. The difference is they thought about it. They wanted to engage the consumers and the shoppers, and they did it with a very elegant solution, which I looked at and I played with, you know, and then there were people looking, because obviously people hadn't seen it before. So, you know, that's what I mean by engaging and being sort of like creating, you know, a more impactful, engaging experience in a store, rather than just boxes of things where you just pick
Yeah.
up and just put back
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, and as you said initially, like stores will have lots of injections of technological items that will also entice us to engage, connect, or interact with the brand differently. We're going to be talking about that in a few and in more details. But first things first, let's talk about sustainability.
Yep.
And what does sustainability mean in the world of retail?
Wow.
In the world of retail.
Well, that's a big one, because it's making sustainable decisions, and has never been more difficult for brands and retailers. And you know, if you look at it and say, well, why is that? It's because there are now huge levers being pulled inside these retailers. You know, your government and legislation. You know, you've got things like the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These are all challenges that are being pushed down onto these brands and these retailers to be more sustainable. But brands also have their own sustainable goals. So you've got two things there. But then we're consumers, and we expect things from brands now. We expect them to be more transparent. We expect them things to, you know, obviously you wouldn't expect someone to be having modern slavery, you know, equal pay, you know, across different demographics. So for me, sustainability is very complex, and each brand or retailer has to have those different challenges. But for me, it's fairly simple, and that is just do the right thing. You know, just make sure that you're not creating a wasteful throwaway experience. You know, inside a store. You know, I print on something, I launch a campaign, I just throw it away at the end. I make some packaging that is just lazy design, and then you just throw it away, and consumers have no idea what to do with it. For me, sustainability can actually be quite simple, but I understand that behind the scenes that it's very complex, with supply chains, materials, you know, design, getting it into stores. What do you do with it at the end of life? So it's a very complex, you know, thing, and maybe later we'll touch on circular design.
Yes, we should. And I wanted to also go back on that idea. Some experts say that brands and loyalty are very much dependent on sustainability attributes that a brand enables with its customers, as you said. So what are your thoughts on it? I mean, is the customer today having a major role into pushing brands at becoming more sustainable, or in a way or another?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been, Harley, I've been doing this for about 15 years. I mean, I was banging on about sustainability in retail before even anyone really cared about it, you know. So, you know, people say to me, well, wow, you were doing this 15 years ago, Steve. And I've remained passionate, I've remained focused on it. And now more than ever, you know, there's been some brands out there, Harley, which have always led the way, you know, like the Body Shop was founded, you know, Anita Roddick found it on sustainability. She found it on and they're still leading the way. They've got lots of competition now. You know, Lush is another company that's doing great things. But to answer your question, I think consumers now have the ability to find out more about a company, and I don't think brands can hide behind greenwashing statements anymore. And what I mean by that is brands.
Steve, I think I lost your sound. Steve, I don't know if you can hear me, but I think I lost your sound. Could you still hear me? Ah, okay. So let me.
Okay, trying to join back. And now, I think so. I think so, because I can't hear you. Did you mute your phone?
Okay, sorry, Steve. Oh my God, I have to check the sound. It's the first time I have it. I just need you to check on your phone if you have mistakenly pressed any sound-related buttons. Okay, I'll invite you in back, Steve. I'm sorry for that.
Hey, how's that?
Okay. Yes, I'm so
Hey, look,
sorry. I panicked.
look, I did warn everybody at the beginning that this was my first time.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm so sorry. I
Right.
thought that.
So no, let me go back and answer your question, just in case
Please.
people listening. Look,
Yes.
look, consumers are more than ever passionate about and connecting with brands that are sustainable. They're more loyal. There's data to prove that people are more loyal to brands who show their sustainability. You know, and I just wanted to take one demographic. If you are a under 24-year-old female and you're looking at beauty brands at the moment,
Yeah.
right? There's no way you're going to connect with a brand that is unsustainable, that tests on animals. You know, it just will not happen. So
Right.
brands like that have to earn loyalty. They have to prove sustainability, and there's nowhere to hide anymore because transparency is here. And do you know what? I think that is one of the best things that's happened, you know, in COVID. Is I think COVID has acted as an accelerant to sustainability, which enables us now to challenge. And you know what? If a brand is not doing what they say they're doing, they can be challenged like they've never been challenged before. And I think
Yeah.
that's a really good thing.
Yeah, and it's also like a wake-up call for managers to be just clear on what they're doing and say that we are trying and not lie about things, right?
You,
Like being honest about it.
you're right. There's a brand in the UK called Oatly, and they're an oat-based drink, a cow's milk alternative. And I love their tone of voice. Their marketing is really, you know, to the consumer. It admits when it's doing something wrong. It tells you in a way that says, we might not be very good at this, but we're doing our best.
Yeah,
You know, and I think consumers understand and get that loyalty around that brand because they're being honest. And you know what? I'm not going to hide anything. I might be using a material that you might not like, but we're going to have to phase that out over maybe some time. I understand, you know, we're doing something here, but we're going to change it as we go through. And I also think consumers like to go on that journey with a brand too. I think
yes.
they understand the honesty of it, and then they believe the company, and then that's again where you get the loyalty for it as well.
Right. So let's go back to 15 years ago when you started getting much interest in the sustainability. So what was happening 15 years ago? Was it even a word, sustainability in brand management?
No, not really. It was strange, really, because you could feel it building. It was coming at that time, Halia, and you could see that some brands were starting to challenge certain materials, recyclability, and then we got hit by a recession. And
Yeah.
then there was a recession here, and sustainability was pushed back because obviously then people were focusing on their financial stability of their companies. So for me, the thing then is it then got pushed back, and unfortunately, but I kept push. I always believed that we had to force people to make a change. And there are some people who are very vocal. We all know about David Attenborough and the Blue Planet, or Greta Thunberg, with the work that she's doing. Ellen MacArthur, Foundation. Ellen MacArthur, one of our real famous UK sailors, she went into sustainability because when she went around the planet sailing, she would see all this waste in the oceans. She was one of the really founders 15, 20 years ago that really started to bring sustainability. So that's really where I started. And I was passionate about it then, and I'm equally as passionate about it now. And it's been a long journey, but I'm really enthusiastic now that actually finally brands and retailers, this is right up there now on their agenda. Yeah. This is like number one on their list, and too right, and so it should be.
So let me get some things straight, and these are funny concepts. Sometimes sustainability rhymes with something that is ugly and not very aesthetic.
Yes. Yeah.
So...
No. I can tell you a story about that. I can tell a story. Right. So we found a material years ago. It was from a company in South Africa called Zenita, and they made this fantastic board, and it was a replacement for plastic, and it was lovely. It was made from 80% recycled content. You could print on it, and it looked fantastic. So we would take it to retailers, and retailers would go, "Oh, it's ugly. It's horrible. Look, you can see the edging of it, and it's really, 15 years on." Everyone's buying it, and everyone's going, "Oh, look at the edging! Oh,
look at it!
It's wonderful! Look at it! It's really sustainable." And I feel like saying to them, "Hold a second! I brought that to you 15 years ago, and you didn't like it, because you didn't want it in your store." Now, there's lots of other things. You can show materials that have got inclusions in and bumps and lumps in because it's got recycled content. Some people love it. Some people don't. But yeah, oh no, there's plenty. I've got hundreds of stories like that I could tell you.
Yeah. Whenever you think of one, it was funny. I was thinking about it a couple of days ago when we were doing our test, and then an article bumped in, and someone was saying, "Yes, everything is sustainable is good, but it might be ugly." So I was looking at the article, and it was funny. And,
there are some materials that people bring out. They show me and send me, and I look at it and go, "Ooh, how would I ever take that to a retailer?" But do you know what? There's a time and a place, and there's a place to use materials like that when you want to connect it with sustainability. But yeah, a lot of sustainable materials can be quite ugly.
Yeah, and sometimes
hold a second. Some are quite beautiful because some have got grass in or flower petals and stuff like that. So hey, look, some can actually be quite neat. There's a company called Organoid, right? If anyone who wants to check it out, it's called Organoid, and they make the most beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, sustainable materials. And they've got things like petals and grass and leaves embedded into the materials. And I've seen some of those put into retail spaces. They are incredible, and they're very tactile, and they're they connect you with the brand as well. So they can be beautiful as well.
Right. Thank you for that. And maybe at first, as consumers, maybe we grew with it. I personally grew with it when we used to go to Starbucks, and see those napkins that do not have a white color, and then reading somewhere in a small typeface saying that, this
I'm recycled or something.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes I was very proud even to keep one napkin with me because I would be contributing.
Yeah.
So
but now it's more mainstream. Now people are being, these big brands and retailers are being a little bit more sophisticated with it. So the other day I was in a beauty brand shop. I'm not going to name and shame the company, by the way. Right. I saw this display stand made for this beauty brand, and this beauty brand had printed brown cardboard over the top of plastic to make it look like it was made from recycled cardboard. And I took a picture of it and I put it on Instagram. I put it on my LinkedIn page and just said, "Fake it till you can make it." And it was sort of like, you look at it and just go, if you're going to do something, do it
right.
do it honestly, and don't try and cover up your bad practices just because you
Right.
think you should have something brown or something, you know, looking like it's recycled.
Yeah, yeah, or because it's trendy to
Yeah.
go into
Now,
the.
hold a second. You've mentioned the T word, right? Because some people are saying there's a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon, calling
Yeah.
this a trend. Now, I was highly offended the other day. Put a post on LinkedIn, and someone said to me, "Oh yeah, jumping on this sustainability bandwagon," and I replied straight back and went, "Whoa, hold a second. Oh, 3D design has just said, go on, name and shame."
Name it.
No, 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 no,
No.
no. I'm not going to go back on my LinkedIn post 3D design, and you have a look at the one on there. But no, it's different. So I got back to this person and said, well, hold a second, you know, this is not a trend for me. I'm not jumping on any bandwagon here. I'm passionate and have been passionate for many, 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 many years. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, you know, are there more sustainable jobs out there than ever? Yes. Are there more sustainable initiatives out there more than ever? Yes. Is that a good thing? Yes.
Yes, of
So,
course.
it's sort of like, you know, I'm never gonna, you know, I'm not precious about this. At the end of the day, the
Mm.
more people can jump on this and can force positive change, the better.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, it's good to go sustainable from a brand perspective, but from a consumer's perspective, we might also be paying the price for that. And at the end of the day, consumers always do their calculations. I mean, how
Yep.
much am I paying and what am I getting back? Is the mindset changing a little bit? Are we okay with owning less and contributing better? I mean, there's always that dilemma with consumers, what they're paying, what they're getting, and is it worth it to them?
Yeah. Now that's a really big question, Halia, because if you're a brand or a retailer or a manufacturer, in the past, this was dead easy. You had a dilemma, and your dilemma was cost versus
Versus,
quality,
yeah,
and that was it. That's all you had. Because if you wanted to lower the cost, you probably lowered the quality, and then you only had two metrics to deal with. Now we're faced with a trilemma. So your trilemma now is cost, quality, and functionality, and sustainability. So you now have
yeah,
three. So unfortunately, a lot of the sustainable products and sustainable materials that people use, they're lower production volumes, which means they're normally higher priced. You know, how are you going to compete with mass-produced chicken or mass-produced plastic when you're a small manufacturer making a niche product? You can't. So I do think that consumers now have got this dilemma, this trilemma sorted, that they can see organic bacon versus another bacon, or a top from H&M, which is a more consciously, you know, made top at, you know, £20 against one that is £4. I think consumers are getting the fact now of thinking to themselves, I get that's why it's more expensive. Now, the trick
mm,
is, will they pay more?
mm,
Now, some people will, some people you will never convince. And one thing we've also got to also take into consideration here is this: some people don't have a lot of money. So
yeah,
some, you know, you know, if you're a person on low income and you've got three, you know, kids, you know, and you're, you know, struggling to feed them, are you going to worry whether it's a £1.50 t-shirt for them or whether it's sustainably
sustainable.
sourced and it's £10 each? So we have to still, we've got a long way to go to make sure that
Yeah.
we include everybody in sustainable choices and not just rich people.
Yeah, exactly. And making that practice accessible in a way or another. And also, we can name,
Sorry,
we
was that a
cannot.
bit? Sorry, Harley. Was that a bit serious? Was that a bit sort of like, you know?
It was real and
Okay.
serious. But it's really important to highlight it because we all do it. I mean, I personally might be questioning at some point whether it's worth it to pay for that top like 20 times more, or maybe get it for £1 or £2 and make use of it as I want to make use of it, because I'm confronted with that as well. But on the other hand, I might say that I could be the consumer who contributes in other ways, like I could recycle, I
Yeah.
could maybe take my jeans back to a recycling bin. I don't know. I could contribute in a way or another, but still, I believe that the prices of items, especially in fashion, that are sustainable might be a bit higher. However, Steve, I was wondering on a major high street window of a major retailer, there was like a window putting promoting like t-shirts for £1.50,
I
and
saw it.
just
I saw this.
yeah, and just
Yeah.
right next to it, like sustainable fashion or whatever. I
Yep.
mean, this contradiction, is it intentional or was it a glitch, like a design window glitch? I don't know
Are,
if we can
are,
call it that way.
are we going to name and shame them?
No, no. I think people know about, I don't know.
And look, I'm going to, you know, anyway, I'm not going to name and shame them. Right. Right. That brand is doing a lot in sustainability. It makes millions, if not billions, of garments a year. And going back to my previous sort of like answer is we face a dilemma, and the dilemma is unfortunately consumers are hooked on low cost products. You know, it's like sugar. You know, it's like, you know, we're hooked on sugar and low fat. We're hooked on low cost fashion. So, you know, if you were going to go out and you're going to eliminate that £1.30 top for that, I think it was a child's top, wasn't it?
I believe so. I
Yeah,
don't want to be, yeah.
I think it was.
But
I
I
think
mean,
it was,
even the adult top could
yeah.
be that price, and they are good quality.
Oh, but that's the thing. Now,
They are
so
great quality.
there's the dilemma there. So for me, I would say to that brand, I'm going to be honest. That window, that had a massive, you know, hit of what I would say is conflicting messages. But the average consumer wouldn't realise that. The average consumer would have walked past that window and gone, "Oh wow, that brand is sustainable. Oh, and look, I can buy a shirt for £1.30." All I would hope, and knowing that brand, there might be lots of people who would disagree with this. I would hope that that brand for that £1.30 t-shirt has got it from an ethically sourced factory. You know, it's paying its staff a decent wages. How can it for £1.30? I don't know, but obviously they've done their costing and their mathematics on it. You know, but so I would look at it and say, I would hope that has some form of sustainable credentials behind it. But that company is, you know, they're one of the biggest in the world. Are they doing their bit? Yes, they are. I've been around those stores and I know a lot of clients who do a lot of work inside those stores. They're trying their hardest. But when you turn over billions and billions and billions of pounds and you make this is like a big oil tanker. This takes time to stop and to turn and to make those decisions. You know, if we said a major global brand was going to go ethical and sustainable and all their prices are going to go up by 300% tomorrow, the average consumer wouldn't go, "Yay, I'm going to go and spend 3 times as much." You know, so there is a balance. There's an economic balance. There's a sustainability balance. And I just think, you know, we have to find that balance as we go forward, because, you know, people still have to make profits and people still have to pay people good wages and we still have to keep the economy going. We just need to maybe force them to maybe do it a little bit more ethically and a little bit more sustainably moving forward, but quickly accelerate their process.
Right. And again, between brackets, I'm a big fan of that brand, and I'm a strong believer that there's a will behind doing things better. I see it. It's taking time, because I've been like a loyal customer since a decade now, but it's always intriguing.
Everyone's going to be sitting on it, going on our LinkedIn pages
to
and our
search
Twitter,
for that.
Who the heck it is? But no, look, you're right. You know, these brands. You know, hey, if Harley, if me and you worked in one of these big fashion brands or one of these retailers or whatever, you know, this is not an easy job, by the way. And one thing I will say that I've noticed over the last 12 months is people are struggling in certain areas because of education. They don't know what materials to use. They're not quite sure about how to do it. And that's one part of the business that I started 9 months ago. You know, it is helping to educate people, giving my knowledge and experience into different brands and into different retailers and into different teams to say, hey, there are materials out there. You know, you can make changes at price parity, you know, to make a sustainable move and a sustainable change. But the thing is, what you don't know, you don't know. So you assume it's difficult. But I think people are reaching out more and people are being more open now. And I think people are requesting help. And I think that's a really good thing that's come, you know, out of a big focus now on sustainability.
Yeah, and it's always really important for us to blame it on brands, Steve. But I believe that consumers play an important part in it, because we always say like, yeah, you're not doing your part, but you're not contributing as a consumers as well. So this is a big thing, as you said. Educating consumers is important, and brands are doing their part, you think, into creating that story, developing, explaining, putting the word out there about their practices?
So some do, some don't. My big bugbear is packaging. You know, for me, packaging is a really big, you know, big thing for me, because I look at it, Harley, and I just think some things I pick up and they're very elegantly designed, and I look at it and think to myself, that's designed nicely, take it off, recycle it. And then other things you get, they've just got a layer of this and a packet of that and a wrap to go around this, and you just think that's just lazy. And it is. And you know, there are some great companies out there doing it, but to me, it is complete and utter laziness of a brand or a retailer that will do something like wrap a coconut in shrink wrap and put labels on a coconut. Now, a coconut doesn't need bags and shrink wrapping. It's going to survive. You know, you can chuck a coconut in the water and it will survive for frigging years.
Right.
You know, so there's just a bit of thought, you know, goes into, you know, just be a little bit more intelligent about what you're doing and the impact you have. Because my recycling bin is fuller than it's ever been. So I think sometimes what they do is, these brands and the retailers, is they force the consumers to take the responsibility, right? I'm a massive advocate of saying, no, you have the responsibility.
Yes, you
right?
are. Yes.
Don't make packaging unrecyclable. Don't make it wasteful. You know, don't push it on me and say, oh, you're a bad consumer because you've put it in the wrong bin. No, you're a bad manufacturer for not making it easy for me to recycle it.
Right. So let's talk about your line of work. I mean, would you like to tell us a little bit how you accompany brands? Is it like a top-down type of consultancy, or how do you look at the idea of sustainability in your line of work when it comes to accompanying brands?
Well, look, you know, for me, Harley, you know, I'd worked in a fantastic company. It was called Indicia Worldwide. They used to be called Konica Minolta Marketing Services. I worked there for the last six and a half years. And I was really lucky. I was head of their sustainability and retail innovation a part of the business. And I worked with some amazing brands. I worked with Unilever across 29 countries. Now there's a brand who gets sustainability. Okay, turn over billions and billions of pounds, but still understand the impact that they have on a daily life of different people. So for me, I look at it, Harley, and just think there are brands like Unilever who will launch a beauty brand like Love Beauty Planet with recycled bottles, easy to peel off labels, so you can refill them with your own products afterwards. There are some beautiful examples. So I worked with people like that. I worked with Coca-Cola, Heineken, another great brand who really does think about its marketing and the impact it has. And so the middle of last year, I had an opportunity to strike out on my own and to start my own consultancy and really focus purely on it. And everyone said to me, you are mad, mate. Don't do it because you're in the middle of pandemic. But I said, you know what? And Indicia, the company I left, were fantastic about it. They didn't want me to go, but I needed to set this up. So So now I work directly with those brands and retailers. I've got some really new clients. I've got a really exciting new client that I've signed up this week, a major beauty brand. I can't say who it is at the moment because we're still going through just the legal documents, but I'm going to be working with them.
We're going to look at LinkedIn.
Yeah. So it's all signed up. I'll announce it. But I'm working on some sustainable packaging for them. So these brands and retailers are now reaching out to me and saying, come and sort this out, Steve. Come and look and help us there. So I'm doing a lot of work with. I've got 7 key clients that I'm now working directly with. I've got this new brand that's come and spoken to me. I'm also doing things like store audits for clients. So clients are now saying to me, come into my store and give me an honest overview of all the things that are inside here, what they're made from, how they're designed, and then you can sort of like, give us an honest appraisal. So I'm an honest, sustainable, I don't like to use the word consultant, because although it is a consultancy, consultants sometimes get a bit of a negative sort of like, oh, you're going to come and tell me something I already knew, But so I started it just aimed purely at giving advice, helping teams, being their expert inside without having to employ me. And as soon as I started it 9 months ago, day one, I got a contract. I understand, and I've been really humbled by some of the people that have reached out and who have said, come and work for us. And I've absolutely loved it. Is it the right time to be a sustainability expert? Yes, it is. Yes. Have I worked very hard over the last 15 years to be a sustainability expert? Yes, I have. But I think it's a good thing. So that's how I've set it up. So I work across brands and retailers. I work across different teams, Halia. So I work across shopper marketing teams, sustainability teams, retail design teams, manufacturers, and I bring them different things. It could be retail innovation, it could be sustainability, but I would say at the moment, I'd say 80% of all my work I'm doing at the moment is purely based on sustainability with clients. And so that's how I earn my money. I can come and be a project manager for you. I can come and give enthusiasm. I can bring expertise, and I can bring momentum into a project to get things achieved maybe quicker than an internal team.
Right. So you look at the touch points that need your expertise, and you're just right there.
Yeah, I've simplified it, Harley, because obviously, like we said at the beginning, is sustainability is tough, because where do you start? So I work on a sort of like a 7-phase approach. I look at the corporate side of the business, mission statements for a company. Do you have sustainability champions? What's happening in your premises, your buildings, all the things that are happening inside there. What about your sustainable design? What about the materials you use? So I can go through these different phases with a company and challenge each one. How are you manufacturing it? What about your supply chains? What about your logistics? What about the recyclability? And if you follow this sort of like 7-step process that I have, it creates it to make it very, very simple for people to be able to go, I get it. You can create a roadmap, you can create deliverables, and you can deliver back, very, very easily. But that's the thing you need to do with sustainability, is simplify it and get the enthusiasm, which then creates momentum.
Right. I will not ask further about the 7-step process, because I know that it is something internal, but it's really interesting to I think we'll read about it one day, I'm sure.
It's sort of like, it's my way of working, and I've also got a similar one for packaging design, where I sort of like have a very simple stepped approach to redesigning packaging as well, and that's what I think people need. People need help, which is packaged.
A hands-on solution.
That's right? It. You need someone to be able to come in and hit the ground running, and that's what I can do. That's what I can do for clients.
Okay, perfect. Steve, I have one or maybe a couple of more questions. Is circular fashion, or the idea of circular, maybe, I don't know, waste collection, on all of these details related to sustainability as well?
Yeah, I mean, more and more and more. I mean, I'm working with a company at the moment called the Hexite Group, and I'm doing some work with them. And the Hexite Group are made up of 6 different companies. They're made up of one's called Gardeners, one's called Kessler's, one's called Blaze, Signia, and Proportion. And they're a group of companies that make a lot of products inside the retail industry. And they're really starting to push forward now on looking at circular design, really at the forefront when it comes to retail. So they're looking at sourcing, where they source their materials from, how they manufacture them, how they distribute them, how they then look at end of life, because obviously they're putting a lot of displays into stores. Do they need to be reused again? Can they be refurbished again? You know, so for me, there are people really pushing those boundaries, and circularity and circular design is absolutely the way forward. Because, Harley, in the past, we had a very, very simple linear model, and that is, you know, we made something, we threw it away, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then we moved to a recycling economy, which meant, you know, as we all have grown up with, you know, well, I'm a lot older than you, but, you know, you grow up, you know, you do things, you know, you create something, then you can recycle it as much as you can, and then it sort of flows back out again. The circular economy, if we get it right, will ensure that really everything flows in the center
And the loop.
and to be reused and refurbished. And if anything does flow out, it can be either recycled or in a different way. But for me, I think people are getting it. I think it's still a challenge. I think people are having to challenge themselves about their circularity and their circular thinking and their circular design process. You know, make it once, throw it away. That's never going to happen again, because resources, Harley, resources are
shrinking as well.
That's it. So if you make something out of metal or wood or plastic or fiber, you know, those have a value at the end of life. Metal certainly is very valuable now to sell it on, you know, wood, not so much. Plastic depends what it is. Some plastics are very high value at end of life, like acrylics. But fiber, you know, you're looking at people like DS Smith, a global fiber-based company, manufacturer, recycler. You know, they actually guarantee that if they collect anything from a back of store, they can make it back into a box within 14 days.
Okay.
Now that is a huge example. So there are companies who are really at the forefront of creating this circularity in design and saying, if you design it right, I'll be a box again in 2 weeks' time. And I think that's great. So there are companies doing it.
Yeah. And we spoke last time a little bit about also retail design and modular retail design, especially in the case of like modular kiosks, mobile stores, pop-up stores, and how even retail designers are conceiving their in-store material to be reused, recycled. And can you comment a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, you're now seeing that people are not going to build something once and throw it away. Because again, there's an economic reason there. So there's another economic reason. So if you're looking at a beautiful pop-up store in maybe a shopping mall or a concession in store, it will have a life, a campaign life. It might be 3 weeks, it might be 3 months, whatever it may be. But I think now people are starting to think that they've paid all this money for this display or this piece of store theatre. What am I going to do with it at the end of life? I can't just throw it in the bin. That's way too wasteful. Can we reuse it? Can we reuse the panels? Can we design it in a different way that maybe it flat packs at the end of life, means we can store it better and reuse it again in a different campaign. So I think there is an economic reason which is forcing sustainability now, which I think is a good thing too.
Yeah, exactly. It's pushing us to think better and to save more. Yeah. So sustainability, if just we can demystify it in a couple of words, it's not something that relates only to brands or to enterprises. It's a global thing impacting consumers, brands, retailers, etc. And it's here to stay. It's not a T word. It's not a fashionable thing. I mean, we all in our ways could contribute to sustainable practices in a way or another. Right.
Absolutely. We've all got to do our bit.
Our little bit. Yeah.
If we all do our little bit as consumers, and that could also be that you don't buy a brand that you believe is unsustainable. Yeah. That's also doing your bit as well. Yeah. So the power of the consumer's pound, their spend, you know. So yeah, and it is, and it should be enjoyable, and it should be something that people feel passionate about. You know, buy into the brands that you love, buy into those brands that are, you know, you can see their story and that are transparent about their story, and just buy less of the ones that aren't, because that's the only way brands will change. And, you know, if they see their sales going down because they're seen as unsustainable, they will soon change.
I was thinking right now, is there like a direct link or relationship between sustainability and also the idea of short circuits, like shopping more local, shopping from stores who can allow us to bring our like I don't know, bags, refilling. You know,
Yeah.
like this idea is also becoming, is it a result of sustainable practices, or is it the entire economical, environmental factors that are pushing us to consume more local, more ethical, more sustainable?
I think, you know, retailers now in Europe are doing that more. When I used to fly to America a lot, you would go into a big grocery retailer and they'd have all of those refills over in
Yeah,
America. It hadn't really come over to the UK. But just to go back to one of the things you were saying, I think what COVID has done is it's forced us to close,
shrink our,
to shrink our world.
yeah, yeah,
So where I live, you know, I've got round the corner here a lovely, you know, artisan, you know, deli and shop. You know, I've also got a little convenience store like a Tesco store, and I've also then got an off license where I can go and buy some wine and some things, you know, to treat myself. You know, I've shopped there more in the last year than I've shopped there in the last 10 years.
yeah,
Why? Well, I don't really want to drive into a big supermarket with lots of people and be worried about things. So I think our habits have changed. But we are now seeing some incredible brands. I mean, this week in the UK, Body Shop has launched a new refill system for their beauty products.
yeah,
You know, now that's a big move for someone like that.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
if you then go into Asda have now got a whole new trial service of putting, you know, nuts, seeds, mueslis, breakfasts into your own pots, you know, to then take away. So there is a big shift towards that. I think there's a shift towards it because people are just sick and tired of over-packaged products. But yeah, big shift, big focus, and I commend any of those retailers or brands who are shifting towards, you know, less packaging and refill systems. Again, being a realist here, that's not for everybody. Not everybody wants to take pots with them, you know, to a store and then fill them up. You know, I saw the other day a retailer was saying, "Bring your rubbish back to us, and we will recycle it for you." And I'm like, "What? Am I going to
I
take
don't
a
want to
bag?
bring my rubbish.
Yeah, am I going to take a bag full of rubbish with me shopping? You know,
Yeah,
oh, because that pot needs to go into there, that pot needs to go into there. You know, no, make it easy for me to recycle." But anyway, going back to it, there are some great examples now of refill systems out there, and I commend anyone, especially like the Body Shop. I know them very, very well, and they're going through a sort of like a rechange and reactivating themselves back into, you know, what they used to be. They've got a new owner now, and I think it's Natura who owns them, and they're going back to this activism, you know, base of really challenging the sustainable way they do business. So watch out for the Body Shop. They're doing some great new things.
okay, thank you. We will. Steve, I think we tackled into a whole related to sustainability. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about and that you would like to add?
No, I think we covered loads of things. I mean, for me, I mean, look, anyone who knows me knows I could talk for hours, you know, but for me, it's about focus. I think we're entering into a very, you know, just to sort of bring this sort of like my piece to a close, Halia, and it's all about intelligent thinking now. It's all about making sure you make the right decisions that have the right impact. You know, because if you design something wrong at the beginning, I saw something the other day from Ellen MacArthur's foundation that said 80% of the sustainability is designed out at the design stage. So if you get it wrong at the beginning, it's always going to be wrong. You can't correct yourself. So I think the thing that's creating enthusiasm and confidence with me is people are now trying. They're trying a lot harder. They're challenging themselves, and we're now starting to see some brands making some really big changes. And I think that can only be seen as positive.
Right. Really nice. I mean, I hope that the future is bright and for sustainability and sustainable practices. And let's wait and see how brands are going to be implementing that.
Why don't we do why don't we come back in 6 months' time and we can start to maybe call out some of these brands we mentioned today and see if they've got better. Why don't we do a review Why don't we do a review in 6 months?
Yes, yes, we should. Yes, and I will keep that in mind. And it would be really interesting to have a point of view. And if brands reacted to their campaign that they have done today, and if they managed to change anything,
Yeah,
right, we will
good.
do that.
We'll do
Thank
that.
you, Steve.
But it is good. But I challenge anyone out there who's, I've seen some people who are online design companies and people that have scrolled across the bottom. I challenge you guys out there to make the change too. You've got to force change. You've got to be enthusiastic about the change, and you've got to sometimes maybe force that change through. So, and you've got to be strong-willed sometimes, because some people will push you back. Some people will doubt what your intentions are. They will challenge your thinking, but be passionate, be focused, be sustainable.
Yes, thank you, Steve. I mean, it's really important to do that. And I hope that most of the management will also be open to all of these practices and will entice their teams to have the liberty to rethink their ways, even at design levels, as we said, to make things better. I hope so.
Yeah. And
Steve,
if someone is struggling, if you're struggling out there, I've got a very simple website. You can come onto stevelister.com if you want to. If you've got a question, I've got another website called asksteve.co.uk, and all the website is just one line in sender, and all you do is you type your question and send it to me, and I'll answer it for you. So if you want any questions answered, just go to asksteve.co.uk, and I'll answer, or I'll try to answer your question for you.
Okay, I wanted to tell you about that, sharing information. So your website, your question website, and I think through LinkedIn and Instagram, you're available there, right?
Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn. I'm posting every day. Always try and keep it relevant. Try and keep it connected to business. Try and keep it connected to sustainability. So yeah, follow me on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you so much, Steve. Earlier this morning, someone asked on the post that you shared in the morning if they could have a look or rerun at this conversation. So I'm going to be sharing it directly on IGTV and later on YouTube, so people could have the link to that as well. Thank you so much, Steve.
No problem. Thank you very much, and thank you for hosting my first Instagram Live.
I'm happy that it was a positive debut.
It was. Sorry about the glitch,
so much.
Little glitch in the middle, but thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
No worries. Thank you, and have a nice day.
And you too. Thanks a lot. Bye,
Ciao.
Ale. Bye, everyone.
Bye.